Okay, so I am in Flashlight in one of our demo orgs. And what I have here is one of our standard reports um, that we ship with the product, which shows this is the object first view, right? So it's grouped by object. For each object, it shows you every profile and permission set that's available in your org that has at least read access to that object. And if it's on this report, it will show you all of the different, um, create, read, edit, delete, and so forth, permissions for that. So, so every object, standard and custom, every profile, every permission set. So that's standard out of the box. This is one of the reports that that when my customers are audited, auditors always want this report. In addition to the standard Salesforce report that that you can export, filter, whatever you want to do with it, the same data is available at both the object and the field level within Flashlight. This is the same data just for the account object. It tells you all the profiles and permission sets that have access and what those access levels are. For custom fields, this is a custom field on the opportunity object. It will tell you whether it will tell you all of the profiles or permission sets that have at least read access to this field, and then whether it also has edit access. So, so again, the number one requested report from auditors is this one: objects by permission set with all of the cred permissions available. The second most requested report is this one. This is an Excel report. This is the one I mentioned earlier that that I extracted from Workbench. Currently, you cannot generate this from StrongPoint. But again, in column B, you have every profile and permission set in the org. Across the columns, you have all of the different user permissions that are available. In this particular org, there are 217 unique permissions that can be assigned. And then there's, in column D here, it just tells you kind of a summary, for the contract manager profile. They have 43 unique permissions available, and then you can read off what those are. Both the report that I just showed you, the object by permissions report, and the user permissions by permissions report are both very handy if you're in this analysis phase of trying to understand which profiles and permission sets are similar. Because we're typically where you always want to start with that exercise is you want to see, you want to look at all of the profiles and permission sets that have read access to objects, because that's the most fundamental. And then you want to compare all those and see which ones have the same read access to the same objects. Those are your first candidates for consolidation, as well as looking at profiles that have the most similar user permissions. And those are also candidates for consolidation. What I've found is that the ones that you find similar in one bucket are almost always the same ones that you find similar in the other. But it's a good cross-check to make sure that that the consolidation makes sense. Okay, so those are the top two most requested reports. Depending on the industry that you're in. I mentioned healthcare earlier because it seems to be the one that has the most strict access controls, especially around customer confidential data. Finance companies run a close second. For those industries, auditors will often want to see permission set assignments at the field level. And so here you would want to be able to demonstrate that all of your PII or HIPAA or other kind of sensitive financial fields are only accessible to, typically a very small audience. For that, as part of Flashlight, we have an export tool. The export tool it's designed to export data in a number of different ways. It can export it by object, by profile or permission set, or by user. This is an example of the export by profile and permission set. And so for this is the standard user profile that we're looking at here. It's similar for all of these. You can see the CRED permissions for objects. You can see all of the user permissions that are available, apps, tabs, external data sources. The big one is the field permissions. So here is a list of every custom field, standard and custom field, for every standard and custom object that the profile has at least read access to. So again, depending on your org and the number of objects and fields you have, that this can be a pretty lengthy report, but it's very comprehensive. A lot of stuff here. The other thing that's often of interest internally, not so much for auditors, is who has access to Apex classes and Visualforce pages. So Apex, Visualforce, and application and tab permissions are usually of interest when you are looking to consolidate profiles or when you're trying to troubleshoot user access, right? So user calls up and says, for example, right, I can't see my echo sign button. Why is that? So these kinds of reports that we provide out of Flashlight, either through this Excel-based reporting or the metadata item reports that I showed before for like the account object and that custom field, are often very helpful for that kind of troubleshooting.